Hi everyone, how are we all doing? It's Ian here. How are we? Looking good. Hair situation today is marginally better than it's been for a while, even though it looks pretty bad. I need a haircut quite badly. Just ask Cat. It's gonna. I kind of had it restyled and it went all choppy and it's. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So I'm going back to my lovely comb over with my partner. So yeah, that's where the hair situation is, and obviously I need a shave. So yeah, hi, how are you all? How are we doing? Yeah, it's been about 3 weeks since my last video. I think I don't know if I made one after. Did I make one after Christmas somewhere around about that? I can't remember actually, guys. But anyway, how is everyone? How are we all doing? Right, let's get myself sorted here. Right. So we're live. Okay. Right. Let's get that. Get one of my bifters, of course. And we will begin. Hi guys, how are we? Hopefully the music's not too loud. I have to get quite used to trying to get the music in a right sort of. Excuse me, that might have been a bit of a noise there. Just moving something so that I could get to the microphone. So right, how's life? What's happened? My blimey! Well, a couple of weeks ago, um, as you all know, my knackered left leg from when I literally snapped it in half. Um, I got it caught in the kitchen, and my power chair went one way and my leg went the other, and I really, really thought I'd done something bad to it. Absolutely intense pain, horrific pain. Haven't felt pain like in a long time. Nothing I could, no oral, pregab, nothing touched us. I was in agony, and Cat said, "Right, we got to get you we got to get you to to the hospital." So we went up to the hospital. First of all, I was on a stretcher, and then I was on a trolley, and then they put me in A&E in this rickety old, horrible like child's wheelchair. You know, one of them really horrible like tubular, really thin tubular ones. They put me in that, and I sat in that for over 6.5 hours. And I tell you what, by the end of it, I'd had enough. Anyway, the best bit was when I got back from hospital, I had obviously picked something up in being in either in the waiting room or wherever it was. But I picked up a diarrhea um, illness, and yeah, just it came out like Niagara Falls is the only way to describe it. For about 5 or 6 days, I was really, really ill, and Kat, bless her, absolutely looked after me, cleaned me up, and I mean, she was cleaning me up every like 2 hours. It was that like horrific, you know. It was vile. And it kind of like got me thinking about MS, and what my consultant said to me last time I went to the hospital, which was the end of last year. And he said MS won't kill you, but it'll be like something else. Like you'll go into hospital for something so simple, and you know if you pick something up in there, because you know what hospitals are like. And he basically said, you know, that, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, I'm absolutely petrified about going to the hospital now, for fear that I'm going to pick up something that's just going to finish me off because my immune system's so low. I'm on so many different medications for my immune system. It's you know, years of abuse of drink and drugs. You know, it's finally caught up with me, I'm afraid. Um, and I was watching a video. I think it was a Billy Moore video, and he was walking around Manchester, and he met a guy who had MS, and he had stage 4 MS, but he had like proper advanced, and it affected his speech and everything. And I just, I'll be honest, guys, it's really, really made me take stock, and it made me realise what's important in life. And what's important in life is the people around you, the people that love you, the people that support you. I can count on one hand the people that have been there probably a good chunk of my life, or within the last 10 years. Um, I've I've been really, really lucky to have people in my life, like Johnny, like Rachel, like Si. Um, I've got my dear brother-in-law, James, who I absolutely adore. I love him to death. And I tell you what, girls, if there's anybody out there that's single, give me a ring, give me a message, because this guy is, or he's the best. He's just the nicest guy you'll ever meet in your life. I can't describe him. Um, and it like, it kind of like really kind of like makes me think, Jesus Christ, what chance of me and Kat got for the future, with when somebody's so perfect and amazing and just generous and lovely, can't even find a um find love. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. I don't understand that. But that, um, I wish I could do my Cilla Black and wave my magic wand and find someone for him, because yeah, I just love him so much. We became fast friends at Christmas. I think it was 3 years ago now. Coming up to this will be the fourth year. I think it was my first Christmas here, and I had Kat, Kathy, my mother-in-law, and James, my brother-in-law, um, came for Christmas dinner, and me and Kat managed to do Christmas dinner between us. I managed to get like the turkey and stuff on in the morning, but I really struggled with it, and I was always like, that was the start of my my bedriddenness for kind of over 2 years, getting up to 2.5 years. I was bedridden. It's kind of like scary when you think about it. Um, but I'll be honest, guys. I'm not quite sure how I got through those 2.5 years. And if I'm perfectly honest, if it wasn't for a couple of people, I don't think I'd be here. I can honestly say, hand on my heart, Johnny saved my life. Um, he's my most dear friend. He's not my oldest, but I feel that I've known him forever, and I really do trust in his family. The guy is just awesome. Again, single, and me and Kat don't understand why. This guy's just got so much love to give. Um, but I don't think he's in the right headspace for a relationship. So that's fair enough. He seems to be quite happy with where he is at the moment, and rightly so. He's doing all right. He's doing all right. Maybe it doesn't hear it enough. But he's a great guy. Um, and they're like two people. James. I really should just ring him up more often and just chat, because whenever we're on the phone, we just waffle on about all sorts of stuff. He's a cockney geezer, and my plastic cockney comes out. I've got a lot of time for him, and I just, like I say, I wish I could find somebody for him that could, that would that he could adore and would adore him. That man deserves to be adored. I'm sure Kat would say the same about me. And sometimes I really, I think back to the life I've had and stuff that I've done over the years, and tricks I've pulled, and how I've not ended up either dead or dead in a ditch, or banged up. I will never know. Um, I lived on the edge for a number of years. And eventually you just burn out, and that's what's happened to me. Mine's total burnout. MS is obviously the final nail, but the body was, I just abused it for God, 30 years. I, I worked it out. I was an alcoholic for 30 years. I can honestly say by the time I left the army, I was drink dependent without a doubt. Um, so I left the army at 24. So yeah, 24, 24 years old and drink dependent. And then of course I came out and I was married to Emma, and then that all nonsense started, and we split up, and then I kind of like just like forever went into another relationship all the time, like from one to, and I could never, the part of my BPD, my borderline personality disorder, is that I can't. I I I I put everything into relationships, and if anybody lets me down in those relationships, it normal people are like, oh god, that's really annoying. Whereas me, it deeply, deeply scars me, and I know that sounds so stupid, and I know you're probably thinking, do you know what? Get a life, and stop sweating the small stuff. But it's just how my head is wired. I can't change it. Um, it is going. And I hate it. I hate that I don't speak to Rachel, not even remotely, and more than enough. Um, you know, she's been there for me at my darkest times. Rachel, she's seen me at my lowest, and she's seen me at my best. Um, and to her, I'll always be the guy that fingered the head girl. So yeah, but that's another story. Actually, I just realised how bad my hair is as well. Actually, I've got to do something about this, haven't I? Oh dear, look at this! I've got total bed hair, guys. You could have said, somebody could have said in the comments. There's nobody commenting here. What's going on? Obviously, nobody's interested in watching this. So anyway, so life's had its deals and doubts, and I kind of really should be doing more for my relationships, if that makes any sense. Um, but you know what it's like. It's when you haven't talked in a while, you kind of like think, oh, all sorts of things go through your head. Maybe this is just the way my BPD mind is wired. I don't know, but um, I'm forever worrying about the worst side of things. Why somebody hasn't, sent me a message to say hi or whatever, and I kind of like overcomplicate it and overwork it in my head and get myself all stressed and worried and angry and depressed and all these different feelings that well up, and it's just like I just feel so hurt. If I get let down, it sounds so stupid, I know. But it's like next Friday, Johnny's coming for dinner, and I can honestly say, if anything happened to stop that from happening, I think it would really upset me. And I know it's only dinner. It makes no dinner. No, it's no difference to anyone really if he doesn't make it. Do you know what I mean? It's not gonna be the end of the world. And I totally get that. I know it's not gonna be the end of the world, but for me, it really would be. And you know, it's really difficult to try and explain this, how my BPD mind is wired. Um, but yeah, it's just like relationships are everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I remember when I split up with Kat, not obviously not Kat now, but Kat with a K. And I was on my own for, see, we split up when I was 40, and I've been with Kat 7 years this year, and I'm 54 this year, so 47. So yeah, 7 years I was on my own, and that was the first time in my life I'd been alone. And of course, when I was 40, um, I was deep, deep in the hooks of alcoholism, um, taking cocaine at the weekends, and then work kind of like snowballed in it, like all got massive and a lot of pressure, and I loved it, thrived on it, but also it was difficult for me to cope, and I turned to alcohol. I turned to cocaine. Um, my cocaine habit got so bad that I had to start dealing, and they were dark days. They were the best days and the darkest days. The best days because of the money, the darkest days because of just everything that went with that lifestyle. Um, when you're in the walking, taking a line to get you boosted through, Saturday services, it's you're like you're seriously at the end of both. You're burning both ends of the candle there. You really are. And it happens to a lot of chefs. A lot of chefs will turn to alcohol. Alcohol is usually the one. Alcohol and a lot of stuff like Amphit, Billy, it's that kind of stuff. Coke's quite prevalent in chefs. A lot of chefs I've worked with over the years have been quite partial to the odd sniff. And definitely the few days after service, that's kind of like goes hand in hand almost with the job. Um, I kind of think about it really, and I think, I kind of like left the army, and that was kind of like a drinking culture, and then I kind of got back into like working the kitchen, and you know, just just having so much money, that your life is comfortable, um, and now you're scrabbling around on PIP. It's people think that we get all this money, and we get X amount to spend, and then we've got all this disposable income. But I don't think you understand like the extra charges that go with being disabled. I have to pay for my care package. I have to pay for extra heating. I have to pay for extra food. I have to pay for all these things, to make life easy for me. Um, you know, I can't I can't go and chop two 5 kilos of carrots anymore. I can't do that. I can't go and do that anymore. But that my life's that's not going to happen. Kat has to do so much prep for me now when I'm cooking. And my God, I love her for it. My darling Kat, thank you so much for everything you do in that kitchen. You are the best sous chef I've ever had, and that's even better than Tim, and he was brilliant. Sorry, Timmy, if you're watching this. Um, yeah, so actually on that, if Kat had applied for a job, and I'd have given her like a week's trial. I guarantee I would have given her the job after the first service, because she doesn't flap under pressure. She's very meticulous. Everything that I ask to be done, she does exactly how I ask it. She knows how I like stuff doing. We've been together getting on for 7 years now. She knows me. She knows me like the back of my hand, like the back of her hand. I know her like the back of my hand. It's nice that occasionally we'll do something that surprises each other. Sometimes it's not the greatest thing. Sometimes it's not a good thing. Um, but 9 times out of 10, we have a very, I think, a very, very good relationship. And people go, well, what's the key? And for me and Kat is, I think it's communication. I think we talk. We both know each other's boundaries. We overstep them occasionally. Me more than Kat. As you do, you get frustrated, you get angry. I do. I think with the whole being disabled and being a PowerShare user, I it's not so much anger, but it's intense frustration. I think is probably the best way to describe it. When you're even struggling to even get in your chair so you can go and peel a potato. It's it's not great. And not being able to do stuff that I took for granted. Like, I mean, this weekend I'd have grabbed my board and I'd have been in Newquay for the weekend surfing. That's what I've done this weekend. Um, and to think that I'm never going to be able to do that again. I'm never going to be able to go into the sea. And I suppose if you've ever had a a pastime or a hobby that I mean, surfing was more a hobby to me. It was just more of a lifestyle actually, but that's by the by. Um, when you've had a life where whatever you want to do, you've been able to do, not a problem. I was always so fit. I played, yes, you well know, I played rugby. I I surfed at most weekends, and I was playing. Um, During the week, days off in the week, just throw the board on the car and nip up to Woolwickham or whatever. I would do that. I would go and do that, and I'd be able to do it. And that, having that freedom, I guess. I suppose I suppose the kind of thing now is, I'm kind of as limited as to public transport. Really, I can get on and off buses. I'm quite confident on that. I've done it a couple of times now. So I feel confident getting on and off a bus, to go somewhere. And I suppose it's just about building my confidence up. I'm still quite new to my chair. I've only had it about 6 months. So I am getting used to it, and I'm still like, you want to see my flat, there's big chunks out the corners of the doorways where I like misjudged the turn, shot into the wall. And also, like 2 weeks ago, when I kind of got my foot wedged between a box and the unit, and the chair went one way and the leg went the other, and that was my trip to A&E, and the following outcome and reprisal of going to an A&E. I think, do you know what? At one point, I actually thought I was going to die. It was that bad. I felt just awful. Literally, when literally everything is out, and you've lost everything. I was just, everything was gone. It was horrible. It was horrible. Um, and what, do you know what? The most horrible thing about it was that I had to spend the night apart from Cat when she slept in the front room. Um, that's the only thing that actually really upsets me about the illness, was missing that night with her. I know that sounds so sad. I know that sounds really sad, but that's how I feel. Um, yeah, she's my best friend. She's my best friend. Um, I would do anything that I could never to hurt her, but I know that's inevitable with my illness, and we all know the outcome. There's no point sugarcoating it. We all know what's coming. We all know what's going to happen. I guess it's down to me to decide whether I just sit and wallow in it and say, the whole poor me, or I just like go, do you know what? It is what it is. Let's live life. Let's do it. So anyway, so up and coming news, we have got our annual trip to Edinburgh coming up in. We're going the end of June, I believe. I think I can't remember the exact dates, but we have got it worked out. Um, yeah, we're off to Edinburgh, but this time we're going for a week because obviously we only went for, it was 4 or 5 days last time, and it wasn't enough because I was so ill for a whole day getting over the travel up. The just, I think it was spending that amount of time in my chair, and then when we got to Edinburgh, and from getting from the train station to the hotel was a nightmare. So we have got a better plan of attack this year round. We're going to go and stay in the same hotel, I think. We will have a look at some others, see if get a few prices and stuff, see what's going on. Find somewhere nice. We'll go for a few days. It'll be nice. We're going for a week. I've told Kat the first night that I'm fit and raring to go and ready that we're going to the new town for dinner. So I don't know what restaurant in Newtown we're going to, but we're going to the new town. Because last time we went to anybody, didn't even get to see Newtown. I only got to see the old town. So I'm very excited about going back. And I kind of reflective as well because I'm thinking, is it going to be? This is the kind of stuff that goes through my head. I'm kind of thinking to myself, when you come out of that train station and you see Edinburgh Castle, it's just the most glorious feeling. it's such a just the place. If you've ever been to Edinburgh, you'll understand what I mean about it. It's just a vibe about the city. It's a beautiful city. The people are so friendly. And it's just a really, really nice place to go, and I really am looking forward to going back. So yeah, so that's going to be in about June, and then hopefully we're hoping for a breakaway in December, and I'm actually seriously contemplating getting my passport changed over from my warrant car passport to to a to a civilian passport. I can just apply for a passport now. The only problem is I need somebody to sign my form. So, is anybody out there that's got a job that can allow a signing of a form? Please, can you get in contact with me because I need to sign my form. So I need to get a passport sorted because I'm thinking we've got a ferry port in Plymouth, and we are thinking of a little jolly to Santander in Spain. So that is a possibility in December. It would be like mine and Cat's like joint present to each other. Um, and then of course I'd have to get her a birthday present because her birthday's on Christmas Day, and I refuse to do joint presents. I don't think that's fair. Um, so that's a blizzard. If your birthday is on Christmas Day, you will get a birthday present and a Christmas present. Right. So that's what's going on. That's Ian's world at the moment. Nothing really interesting, I'm afraid. Boring old stuff. I've been very poorly, but fighting back, getting better, a little bit stronger than I was. Still not 100%. But we've got a big shop coming tomorrow, and I am very excited because I've got some very chefy food and ingredients. And I'm just really excited to get into the kitchen with Kat, obviously, because she's gonna have to do my prep. Because my obviously my knife skills now are deteriorating horrifically. Enough to say that I'm not able to do what I did. Um, and I guess that's another tie into the whole frustration. When I talk about the frustration that I feel, it is if it boils down to it, it's doing stuff. It's not being able to do stuff I used to take for granted. That's where my frustration and my anger is stemming from, and I'm very aware, as it would be a horrific trigger for Cat, that I don't channel it towards her. And I make a conscious decision of that. I try to, if I ever go into one of my, I kind of like try to at least at some point say to her, okay, listen, this is not aimed at you. I'm just really frustrated with this situation. But Kat gets it. Kat, no, she knows me. She knows me like the back of her hand. She knows me better than bloody psychiatrist that I went and saw for 3 or 4 years when I was a kid. She knows me better than that. She knows me. She knows what makes me tick. She knows what upsets me. She knows what I love. She's my soulmate. It it took me 47 years, but I got her, and then you get this bastard shit illness, and you just think, my God, what went wrong this time round, depending on what you believe in and stuff. Do you believe in, this is just one existence? I don't know. In my heart, I like to think that me and Kat are meant to be together in any kind of time, or we'll be in each other's life in one way or another. I just feel, those kind of people that you feel, kind of like you just feel that you've known forever, or oh, I've met you before, or that deja vu almost. Um, so yeah, that's That's about it. That's about it. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, this was just a quick hi. This is what's going on. These are what the plans are for the year. We are actually. I'm going to put a lot of pressure on James because I really want him to come on holiday with us when we go to Santander. Um, I really want Johnny to come with us on holiday, but I know he's got a lot of options going on. After he had a really nightmare trip to Amsterdam for Christmas, which basically involved him breaking his phone before he even got to the airport. Uh, yeah, so yeah, he lost all his ticket details, his hotel booking details. He had no maps in Edinburgh, in Amsterdam. He didn't know it was awful for him. He came back and he just looked like he'd had the just the week from hell. Um, but when he came back, I've noticed a difference in him, a marked difference in him, um, for the better, for the much better. Um, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to say goodbye now. I just want to say hello to a couple of people. I'll give a big shout out to Carissa, who is probably one of my new number one fans. So Carissa, if you're watching this, hi sweetheart, how are you? Hope you're okay. I know obviously you've got a lot going on at the moment, darling, and you know, if there's anything me and Kat can do for you inside, you or side, or Albie, anybody, anything you need, Lola, of course, as well. Please, all you need to do is ask, and if I can help out in any way, then you know I will. You know, you and Si have been absolutely fantastic friends to me. Um, and any way that I can pay either of you back, you know, I honestly, if there's anything I can do, you know, if it's in my power to do it, you know, I would do it. So, you know, so Carissa, hi. Um, and yeah, I hope you're enjoying these videos. Uh, I'd like to shout out to my friend Rachel. Rachel, if you're watching this, hi, sweetheart. I am such a shit friend, and you're a shit friend too. So we're both shit friends. Um, we're both shit friends. Um, yeah, hopefully we can catch up for a coffee and a natter and, you know, kind of like see what's going on in each other's lives. I kind of feel that we've, you know, it's kind of weird. It kind of moved to Plymouth and I kind of thought, oh, you know, maybe I see a bit more of Rach. And of course, it's life, you know. You know, Rach works and she's got a life, you know. She's got a partner, she's got a house, you know, she's got all these things. She's got a Dave. So yeah, so you know, you know, I do get it. I do get that people have lives. You know, I do get it. So, you know, don't stress about me. You know, I'm me. We'll meet up soon. You know, what I would like to do in the next few weeks is maybe when the weather gets a bit better. Um, it's um, it's go out for some drinks, which would be nice. I'd quite like to do that. Obviously, I'm not drinking, but you know me. As long as I'm center of attention, I'm fine. So that's cool. Um, yeah, and that's true. As anybody watching these videos that knows me will tell you, I am such a little attention seeker, a little princess. Cat calls me a little princess. Um, I like to be in the middle of everything going on, and yeah, it's, it makes me happy. It makes me happy. Anyway, guys, thanks very much for sitting through this video. Um, to all the people that I've mentioned in this video, and to any new subscribers I've got, hi. Thanks for finding me and watching me. I really appreciate it. Um, as ever, guys, please, can you subscribe if you haven't already? Can you please share these videos? Um, if you look at my library, there is some stuff that is really heavy. You know, I've talked about alcoholism, the effects of it, the drugs, the MS, the mental health side of things. You know, all these things. You know, I've got, you know, my childhood trauma, my, you know, sexual abuse. You know, you know, it touches on, you know, some pretty hard subjects, and I know how hard it was for me to tell the stories, tell my story, and I think, you know, it took a bit of gumption to do that, and I'm quite proud of what I put out there. Um, you know, it people need to know the truth about what's going on. Um, Sometimes right under their nose in their own family, um, and I guess it's the family's choice how they deal with that, whether they confront it or whether they sweep it under the carpet like mine did. Um, so we obviously leave this video on a better note. Anyway, my darlings, it's been absolutely fantastic chatting to you all. Thank you so much for watching these videos. Please pass it around, share it on your page. I need more subscribers. I need more views. I've got over 1,100 views now. Check it out, 1,100 views on videos. You know, I've got some great videos out there. There's over 30 videos. You know, going back, you know, some of it. There's no particular order of stuff. It could be anything. It's, you know, it's potluck what you get. You know, sometimes it can be quite a. I mean, I've had people that watch my videos and have said I had to turn it off halfway through because it was just too upsetting. Um, and I didn't do these videos to shock anyone, to, you know, to go, oh, look at me, look at what happened to me, poor me. It was nothing ever about that. It was about what it was about was that if one person can see this and they can stop what they're doing or get help with what they're doing, then I'm gonna die a happy man. That's all I ever wanted was all I've ever wanted to do is care about people, you know. Served my country for 9 years, for God's sake, you know. I look at some of the idiots these days walking around, you know, protesting against this, that, and the believing other. And I think, my God, why did I risk my life for people like this that don't even have a Scooby about what's going on, and you know, and yeah, 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 it's one of those, isn't it? And that's for another video. And I'm sure, you know, I've got to be so careful with these videos and what you say. Obviously, um, you know, next thing I know, I'll be getting my door kicked in, and the police will be arresting me for God knows what else. But obviously, I'm very careful with what I say. I think a lot of people know my views on what's going on in the world at the moment. Um, it's a shit show, basically, guys. It's an absolute shit show. I think Europe's fallen from videos I've seen around France and Marseille and Paris, and I really think France has fallen. If I'm honest, I think it's gone. I think it's gone, and we're next if we don't watch it. You know, it's cogs are already in motion, and you know it's happening. You can see it happening. Look what's happening to this country, and we all need to unite. We all need to stand up, and we all need to fight in one name, and you know, maybe if that in the name of Christ, then maybe that's a good enough thing to do it in. You know, whether you believe it or not, you know, whatever it is at the end of the day, you know, I am half Jewish. You know, I can't change that. I'm half Jewish. You know, people that say to me, you know, you should go back to Israel, and I'm like, why? I've never been to Israel. I've never. My parents weren't from Israel. Why would I go to Israel? I don't think my grandparents were from Israel. They grew up in Poland, so you know, I whatever. You know, but you know, we all believe in the same thing, you know, apart from certain people who believe in a child marrying paedophile. But you know, that's you know, I think everybody has a right to their own religion, and I think rightly so. But you know, I think it's encroaching in this country. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on that's The problem is what they're doing is they're putting left against right, and while we're fighting amongst ourselves, they're putting all this stuff through. Like they're trying to push this digital idea. They're trying to push halal meat in all the supermarkets, in schools, and everything. You know, I mean, I don't know where you guys stand on that one, but that's a big stick in my throat. I just don't want to be eating halal meat. I don't want to. I don't think it's a nice way to slaughter an animal. I think it's cruel. Um, Also, I would be completely biased if I didn't mention the fact, as I am half Jewish, that kosher is exactly the same thing. I won't eat kosher food for the same reason. It's. I think it's cruel. It's unnecessarily cruel. You know, I mean, if that gets me locked up, you know, then you know what can I say? You know, all I'm saying is, you know, that there's a lot going on in this country, and I think we just need to look at France to see what's coming. If you look at what's happening in France, look at videos on YouTube on France. Um, there's a lot going on in this country, you know, and whether you believe in Agenda 2030, whatever your views on anything is, I don't know, whether you are left, whether you're right, whether you're in the middle like myself, you know, I have a lot of views that I share with Kat. I have a lot of my own views. Some of them may be a little bit like you, but you know, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, you know, that it is what it is. You know, it's difficult. It's difficult. Um, yeah, yeah, it's one of those. You know, the world's going to shit. The world's going to shit, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. It just seems to be kind of like accelerating it, and I don't know. Yeah, one of them, innit? Anyway, guys, at the end of that, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully, I won't get censored by YouTube for far right views, but I don't know. Maybe I'm far right. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm just thinking what everybody else is thinking and thinking, hang on a minute, you know, what's going on in this country? Take a look at Europe. There's your answer, and we'll leave it at that. So, anyway, guys, thanks very much for another fantastic viewing by you all my left to people mentioned in my videos: Johnny, Rachel, Sai, Carissa, um, who else have I mentioned? James, Kat, all of you, everyone. Thank you so much for all your continued support. I really wouldn't want to even do these videos without you guys. Knowing that, you know, I've got even 10, 20 people watching these videos, you know, when they come out, it makes me feel good. So if you are watching this, thank you so much for your continued support. If there's anything you could do to help a little bit more, that would be great, and that would be by liking and sharing, and that would be great if you could do that. And get my story out, and yeah, see if we can reach out to somebody that may be struggling. So anyway, thanks very much again, guys. Take care, and I'll see you later.